recording here. With me, the voice behind Violent, it's Carol's daughter. Taya, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing this. What are you up to? What are you doing right now?
Right, I'm just in my room. My mom is doing her Zoom classes. She's a teacher, so I'm trying not to be
Nice.
too loud and disrupt her, basically.
So you have a very normal day, in other words.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have to tell you how incredible Violent is, but your other stuff should never, ever be overlooked, because I have been kind of breathing it in the last couple of weeks since we started playing you on the station. And my God, I always like tell people, like, don't overlook everything else. I know there's like the song is kind of a force, Violent, but your other stuff is so great.
Thank you. That makes me really happy.
There is something about Violent, and I know, so your background, your history kind of musically is that you listen to like a lot of punk, right? When you were young.
Yeah, I listen to pretty much everything, though, to be honest.
Yeah. So like a background in punk, but there's something about Violent, and it's like a theory of songs that kind of make threats. like I think a good song that makes a threat turns into sometimes a great song. You know, like a Misfits "Die Die My Darling" or Mama Said Knock You Out, LL Cool J song. Maybe it's wrong, and I've never written a song or a hit song in my whole life, so I'm the probably worst person to ask, but it's just like a observation. But what did go into it? What did go into the song?
Into making Violent, it was honestly, like, I talk about it kind of like a fluke with my friends. I'm like, how did this happen? Like, you know, because it's been so successful. And like, I wrote it really fast. I recorded it on my Apple headphones. It kind of, the beat is really catchy. So when a beat is like that catchy, and when it has like, you know, the part where the 808s come in, like the hi-hats, it's, to me, I hear music and like it just writes itself, sort of, like if it's catchy enough. So I just kind of like listened to it, and for some reason, like "Don't Make Me Get Violent" like came up in my head, and I was like, oh, that's perfect hook. And then it kind of was just from there, and then I sent it to my friend to be mixed, and then like I got it back and I was like, it's pretty good. I'm gonna drop this. And that was it.
So the timeline was like recording it, finalizing, then you dropped it to SoundCloud, right?
Yeah, I just dropped it as soon as I got a mix back.
That's and there's something about SoundCloud I always love. One is that they actually pay their artists more fairly than most people, which to me is important. I don't like people getting robbed of really good stuff. But two, I love watching the song, listening to the song, and seeing comments pop up. And it wasn't even that song. What was it? My Mother Wants Me Dead. All of a sudden, like 30 seconds in, it said "ghoulish," and I'm like, oh, that's like sometimes you can't really rely on fans, comments. It can love you or kill you, but sometimes it's like right on, and I kind of like that.
It's funny because like to me that's like a good comment. I'm like, oh, they liked it. Like I heard that and I was like, oh, that's like a pretty cool, like, yeah, like people would comment that on my Instagram. I'd be like, oh, thank you.
Thanks. I have heard you say though that Violent is kind of like a moment in time for you. You're like, you don't want to, it was just what you were feeling at the time turned into a song, which is like the process, which to me, again, as a non-musician, the idea of taking anything in your past or what you're living that moment and turning into a song is nothing short of magic to me, especially turning into something like that. But you seem like kind of a and moving forward kind of person. You're like, you love the song, love what you wrote, but you don't want it to define everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also think like I'm kind of anxious to get out a lot of my old music, and I'm not old, but like because they're really timeless, like in my opinion. But basically, the stuff I wrote while I was actually in rehab, and because that period of time was so important and so like influential in my life, and I feel like getting that music out is super, super important because like I know probably a ton of my supporters, you know, have been to treatment before, maybe will go in the future. And like, not that you know, you can only listen to it if you're like struggling with that or anything, but
Yeah.
like I think it could be really like helpful for people. So I those are my favorite songs pretty much that I've like ever written. And so getting that out is like first thing for me. And then also just like working on new music, you know, um, just keeping my supporters like updated in what's going on. One thing about Violent actually that like it makes me cringe. Like it makes me so I'm like, oh, why did I put that? I know the line is so good. Um, and it's like one of people's favorite lines, but it's like the part where it's like my nose is filled with powder.
Yeah.
And that's I almost wish I didn't put that in the song because
You feel like
it was the
it
truth.
sets a tone, it sets too much of a tone, or it plays in too much of a direction, or what?
Well, I just think like it's gained a lot of popularity like over TikTok, and like I know a lot of my listeners are pretty young, which I don't think that there's like an age where you really like can not learn about something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just like that's not who I am, or like it was never really who I am, who I was, but it is what it is. And I think it's a really important line, you know, but yeah.
Well, and certainly not, you talked about going to rehab and things like that, but in the last year, and not to even at all compare rehab to being quarantined, but I mean, everybody has this isolation feeling where
Mhm.
everybody's longing to, Christ, just be with another person or a group of people, your friends. And you're starting to, there's a lot of mental health issues. So I think in that regard, this song translates really well beyond what you were just talking about,
Mhm.
just because everybody has that feeling of just
It was
being
like a
alone.
perfect storm. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it kind of gained popularity like around like October, November. Um and like during the holidays, like that is breakup season. Like you know, and so I think like half those streams were just like on I know people were playing that on repeat, like they were
Yes.
not okay.
Well, I feel the same about like In the Gray is very similar to
Oh my god,
uh
thank you.
I love that. It's like I said, there's everybody looks at Violent. I'm just like, there's so many other things there. In the Gray is just a perfect in the moment, and by the moment I mean this past, let's say 11 months, 12 months, it beautifully illustrates things, I think, where that's where a lot of people were, or a lot of people were getting out of. And it just works so well. And the other thing about all of your songs, and this is why I kind of started out by talking about kind of a punk background. And with punk, I always like the term that as soon as there's rules, it's no longer punk, which I
Hmm.
do like. But there is like the shortness of the songs, like they're usually 2.5 minutes, and you get to it right away, which I love. There's nothing against a 7-minute song, but sometimes my patience isn't quite there, and I'm like, I
Right.
I need to hear that first 20 seconds that just like it hooks me. I'm there. I'm with you the whole time, and that's what all of these songs have done. No, like In the Gray, Violent does it. Cold Bathroom Floor does it, which I think is really great.
I really love Cold Bathroom Floor and In the Gray were actually both recorded in a, in a rehab. They
Were
had
they?
like a computer
Okay.
lab, yeah. And like I used their Mac, and they had like Logic or like GarageBand on it, and they had an interface, and I borrowed like someone else's guitar there and recorded those. So they're not like the best quality, but like I think they're really, yeah, like I love those songs. And also In the Gray is like a really like interesting like concept to me, because it was at the point in time where like, you know, like you're just in this weird gray area and you can't decide, like you're not happy and you're not like at rock bottom either.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people can really relate to that. And also it's like, yeah, just talking about how, you know, everybody just wants to like party, and you feel like what's going on, like I want to, what do I want to keep doing this, do I want something better for myself? I'm not going to die the way I'm acting right now, but like maybe my soul will, you know, like that's how, yeah, that's like the concept of In the Gray.
That's that's incredible. Also, did you bounce these songs off of other people was anybody listening to you, or were you by
Oh my
yourself?
god, you know, it was actually really annoying, it was actually really annoying because I'm mad. But like basically at this rehab, like we would only have like a certain amount of computer time, and everybody would be like on the computers, and I'd be like, okay guys, like can I like record? Like we'd all be in the same room. I couldn't obviously be by myself.
Yeah.
And I would keep on having to stop it and be like, can you guys like shut the fuck up, like please, like I'm literally trying to record here. And they would just be talking, you can hear them talking in the background
Now
at
I
one
gotta go
point
back and
of the
listen.
songs. Yeah, it was really annoying. And I was like, I need like 2 minutes of like silence, like you can't. But yeah.
Which is a very different feeling than being like in a studio where everybody's attentive and it's their job to make sure everybody's quiet. You had exactly the opposite.
I know. I was like, you guys, like, shut up. Like, I'm doing something important here. Like, and I would it was so funny. Like, I would show them all my music, and I would just be like, so like over the top. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna go home and like record music and like be famous and this and this and that. Blah 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 blah. And they were all like, okay, like whatever. I don't know. Probably talk shit about me. It's okay though.
How long of a stint was it? Was it like a 90-day?
Oh, I literally stayed there for like a week and a half because
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It wasn't actually that long ago, but I left because it wasn't like the right fit. And I was like, I'm okay actually.
So you took yourself out?
Well, my parents took me out because I wasn't 18 at the time.
Okay.
But yes, I didn't stay there like for the amount of time. I've done that to too many rehabs. I like ran away from one like a couple times.
This is the fact that you did 2 songs in rehab to me is a marvel, but really cool, and I think says a lot about you and what you're going to do from now on and going forward. What are you planning on? Because it seems like you could easily have your hand in art and fashion and music at the same time pretty effortlessly if that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I would love. I mean, I need to drop merch. Like I feel like that's been a little too long of a wait. Like I think I really want to get, because my style is so like, unique, and like people kind of, that's like who I am,
Yeah.
they connect me with that. So merch would be super sick. Like it was stuff that I would wear, like I want people to be able to get something like sick. But yeah, like I would love to like open like a punk store in California, or like own a venue, or like something crazy like that. Like I want to be involved in like, music when it opens back
When it
up,
comes
when the world
back,
opens
yeah.
back up. Yeah.
And that's the thing, it's going to be so crazy. And I'm saying in a couple months, and I'm like, I should shut the fuck up about that, because a couple months ago I said a couple months, and then
I know.
when it does happen and come back, it's going to be just a flood, but that would be the good time to have everything ready. And just as somebody that goes on bands websites all the time, I go to merch is like the second thing. I look at music, and I look at merch, because I like to see, oh, they have only 3 different designs, and one of them is an album cover. And then you see some that go, oh shit, you have like 40 different things going on. I'm like, that's what keeps me. That's what like keeps me a couple minutes or so. I think like whatever comes in your head, you should just do. That should become merch and make it as, large of a field as possible. But I think it seems,
because
following your Instagram, like there's so much cool shit you have and do.
Yeah, I think like obviously there's a place for like a little hoodie that says Violent on it, but like I want it to be stuff that's like unique, and like not just like a t-shirt for $25 that says like Carol's daughter and like my font, but yeah, like I would love to be able to, I mean, my original plan, I was like, oh, I'd love to like make it and like one of one, like everything's unique. And now things are picking up, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that.
That can be a time suck when you're doing it by hand. You're on the 40th one, you're like, this is taking a month. You're like,
I know.
I'm gonna charge you $400 for this because this is the second one I made.
Right.
It's gonna be a kind of a loss and a gain thing. The other thing about going forward and from now on, you worked with a lot of people have remixed your song, people have covered your songs. Would you ever jump into a band situation, or do you always want to, right now, just be solo?
Well, I would love to. Well, okay. All my songs that I have on the guitar, like they sound great with a band, but it's still Carol's Daughter.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I have this like little dream. I have dreams about it sometimes where like I'm in this weird, obscure, like grindcore punk band and nobody knows it's me. And I'll have like a mask or something. And then it's like the big reveal. It's like Hannah Montana. I'm like, it's Carol's Daughter. And everybody like, what? The bitch who made Violet? And I'd be like, yep. But yeah, that would be like the only thing I would do. Like I would do some like weird obscure thing that my label wouldn't let me do.
That would be fun. Just invest in like, yeah, just do kind of this thing. You just show up and you're like,
Yeah.
and then it's just,
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
But then you have to explode with like heavy makeup and crazy eyes and, black light lines on your face.
So
you gotta,
wouldn't recognize me. Yeah.
You have to come back. I like that. I hope you didn't ruin the surprise like a year from now, but
Oh no.
I think that I don't want to pull the curtain back on something that hasn't happened yet.
Now they're gonna every female punk fronted band with a mask, they're gonna be like, is that Carol's Daughter?
You're like, oh, see, that would be fun. Then you do, then you're doing a Where's Waldo on stage thing, and that's fun as hell. That's good. Well, I've love Violent. We're playing it all the time. Absolutely love it. The best of luck to you going on. Hope to talk to you again. Hope to see you live sooner rather than later. And take care of yourself and say hi to your mom.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.